There we go. Okay, cool. Because I'll send this out to everybody. Okay. Yeah, I kind of anticipated a smaller crew, so no worries at all. Well, I don't think today will take a crazy amount of time here, but I'm going to see if I can bring this up. Let's see here. You guys should be able to start seeing this on your end. Let's see here. Where is the...
Okay, these are cool.
All right, here we go. All right, so can you guys see the PowerPoint on your end?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so I think, with chaotic times like this, it's impacting everyone a little bit differently. And when stuff like this happens, I think it's easy to start getting overwhelmed by all the things that are beyond our control. And when that happens, anxiety, all this other stuff can start to add up. So I think I'd like to start today by just taking a few minutes to think about, even given the current situation, just some things. We'll take like 2 minutes here. Just list out some things that you are grateful for. We'll just take 2 minutes. Let's just kind of get our mindset in the right spot here by getting into gratitude, and I will join you guys as we go through this. So we'll just take 2 minutes. I got my timer running. Just think about some stuff that you're grateful for. And then Kate, if you're in the car, please don't be writing anything down right now. Just mental notes. Got about another minute, guys.
It's 10.
I think it's
Guys,
I think it's the 11.
it's about 2 minutes there. So again, I just think that's always a good idea. Anytime, when you're having a bad day, or if there's a stressful time, I think taking even just 2 minutes to really think about how much we do have and everything that we're grateful for, I think is powerful. Like already, even I've been in a pretty good mindset, but even me just right now, taking the time to write these things down, like I already feel better, and I knew we were going to do this, so I hope it just right away puts us in a better mindset. Okay, so first quarter of 2020. If you guys have your 90-day wonders out, you may have listed some things that you wanted to accomplish. And we need to keep in mind now that things have taken a turn over the last month and things are out of our control. So, and then on top of that too, whenever you make goals, they can adjust and they can shift and they can evolve. So I think it's good to keep those things in mind too, just so that you don't make yourself feel bad about not accomplishing certain things that you had written down. So take a few minutes here to think about things that you've accomplished, whether they were written down as goals or not. So we'll take a few minutes here. To list out your accomplishments. so far?
You're telling me about it.
Yeah, that's what I rule.
All right, guys. Hopefully you've maybe realized a few things that, I think it's important to list these things out because we're always our own worst critics, and it's just natural, to go into survival mode in our own heads, and to think about all the things that we're not doing. And I think it's important to take the time to realize how many things we really are doing. Let's see here. Series get on a different name. So yeah, I think that helps too. Get our heads in the right mindset, so that we stop beating ourselves up and to give ourselves some credit that we really deserve. All right. I can't get this off my screen, but that's all right. We're gonna move forward now. Okay, in the beginning, we watched a video, and we'll just watch again the first couple minutes here. I think it's just good to kind of recap and review. One second, guys. Can you guys can't see my screen.
To fly a rocket ship, you need to be.
You guys can't see my screen anymore, is that right?
See gratitude page. Gratitude
Okay.
page.
No astronaut launches for space.
One sec here, guys.
I've become.
All right. So what I'm going to do here. All right. So I think this is a good thing to kind of just think about once again.
Very, very interested in the idea of playing in games that have no finish lines. Right? Some games have finish lines. Right? Baseball, football, right? Getting a part is a finish line. You audition. There's a beginning, middle, and end. There's rehearsal and practice. There's showing up for the audition, and you either win or you lose, and then it's over. It's over, right? That is finite. But one's career is infinite. There's no end. It's like our lives are finite, but life is infinite. People come and people go, but life continues, right? Theater, actors come and actors go, but theater continues. It's infinite. You don't win theater. You win a part, but what happens once you get the part? The finite game is over. Now you enter the infinite game. You have to be able to convert, right? And the reason this is important, and I've seen this unfortunately so many times, from a young age, all you wanted to do was get to Broadway. And then you get to Broadway. And then what? You've devoted your entire life to one finite goal, and when you get there, the immediate response is depression. Because I spent 15 years of my life for this one thing, and I got it, and now I don't know what to do next. Like, get to Broadway again? Doesn't have the same ambition. It doesn't have the same passion. You know, that you devoted you're from Fargo, North Dakota, and that's all you wanted to do was get out of Fargo and make it to Broadway, and you made it, right? It doesn't have the same kind of passion. And this is because these are finite goals. There's a lot of studies that have been done with athletes who have finite goals to become the greatest X in the world, right? So Andre Agassi was one of these athletes. He wanted to become the greatest tennis player that ever lived. Guess what? Everyone in his life, he would view them through, how do you help me get to that? Everything was, how does this help me get to that? Everything was a transaction. To how do you help me move to there? And then you know what happens? He achieved it. He became the greatest tennis player in the world. And you know what happened immediately after? Depression. Michael Phelps set out to become the most medaled Olympian in history. Do you know what? He achieved it. Do you know what happened immediately after? Depression. They spend their whole life working for one goal. Though most will never get it, the few that do don't know what to do next because their goals were finite. Their goals were finite. Right? And so there are finite components to your career, but your career should be infinite. So yes, of course you have to win the finite game. You have to get the part. But immediately when you get the part, now you convert to infinite.
All right, so I wanted to revisit that because I think now more than ever during a chaotic time, it can really highlight people that only have finite goals, right? So if you don't have the right mindset right now, it's going to be really easy for you to want to quit or stop doing certain things, right? Because you don't have the mindset right off the get-go. But if you have that infinite mindset right away, even through chaotic times, that's going to help you continue to move forward regardless of what's going on, right? And that's why you guys haven't quit, working out and exercising, taking care of yourself. So many people, they don't have the right mindset when it comes to their health and fitness. So as soon as something, it could be anything, obviously the coronavirus, this is crazy, but it could be any other little thing that happens to them in life. And because they don't have the right mindset, their immediate response is to just stop and quit right away. So I thought that was an interesting thing to revisit, just because it is so different right now, but it's kind of cool to see how, when you listen to a message at one point and then come back to it based on what's going on in life, it can kind of convey a completely different message to you. So I thought that was really interesting. I'm going to bring this back up. Can you guys see my PowerPoint again?
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, guys, so we had done this in December, figuring out your infinite goal. Who are you striving to become? What do you do that impacts the world to make it a better place? If you have your infinite goal already, you can absolutely revisit this and continue to adapt and adjust and evolve it. But I think it's important to just think about those things again during chaotic times to keep you focused, because there's so much beyond our control, but we can control this no matter what's going on around us. All right, and then, so finite goals, it's good to have as well, right? So in these areas, we took some time to figure out what our short-term or finite goals were going to be for 2020. Even over a 5-year period, that technically is finite. Infinite is forever. So in these areas, let's take a minute to take a look at, if you have your other goals in front of you that you came up with before, you can revisit those and see if they've evolved or adapted at all. Otherwise, feel free to just take a minute here in each of these sections. Let's figure out a couple goals that you want to achieve or keep working towards. If it's the same goal, if we haven't achieved it yet, if it's evolved a little bit, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, like if you have a strength goal for health, or if it's mobility, or if it's a certain fat loss, or whatever it is, those things evolve and change. So let's take a minute here over the next couple minutes to figure out what our goals are in these areas: health, self-development, career, money, relationships, adventure. What do we want to aim for or continue aiming for? You know, maybe it's a realistically a 5-year goal that you have and you're working towards it. You know, what little things can you be doing to get towards those goals? So let's take a few minutes here to write down some goals, or to just re-emphasize goals that you have that you're continuing to work on.
This coffee is really good.
Okay, guys, it's about 2 minutes. And again, feel free after we're done here to go back and just really take some extra time to really think about these things. But just to get through everything today, we'll keep moving forward for right now. But again, definitely take some time to revisit these if you need to. Okay, guys, we're going to keep moving here. Back in December, we talked about the relationship between discipline and freedom. You know, right now is just such an interesting time. I don't really want to emphasize this so much right now because our routines and everything is just so out of whack right now, that talking about discipline and freedom, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense in certain ways. I think instead, what I'd like to share, I want to see this next slide here. Instead, what I'd like to share and talk about is, with this situation, what new opportunities, given our situation that we're in right now, what new opportunities has this situation created for you? Rather than looking at this whole thing as an obstacle, something that's preventing you from doing what you want to do or getting to where you want to be, what opportunities now is it creating for you? You know, what skill sets is it giving you the opportunity now to learn? In what ways is this making you better? Figuring out different strategies of how to navigate through this situation. So instead of thinking about this as to it's happening to you, in a way it's happening for you, right? So in what way is this happening for you? Creating different opportunities, ways that you can learn. We talked about gratitude before, things that you're grateful for right now, given the situation, and they could be related. But what new opportunities is this situation creating for you guys? And even if they are obstacles, with those obstacles, what opportunities is it giving you to learn and to grow and to adjust and pivot? Could be useful to look at the obstacles that it's created for you. Look at each one individually and see, where does the opportunity lie within that obstacle? It feels good to start coming up with solutions and strategies. What little things can you do? So that's why, given this situation, without taking some time to realistically look at all the obstacles we do have and figure out how they can become opportunities, I don't think it's a good idea to talk about discipline until you've taken the time to look at that, right? Because then if you start to say, oh, I just need to be more disciplined, and you don't have a strategy, you're just going to make yourself more stressful because you haven't taken the time to come up with strategies to find the opportunities and these obstacles. So now that you've taken a few minutes here to look at all the opportunities that we have, now we can talk about, okay, now I can just be a little bit more disciplined on learning or focusing on these things, these opportunities that I have, rather than on just looking at it as an obstacle. And then there's this video here I'd like to just watch again. We watched this back in December, but it's a great reminder about how consistency is so powerful. Just give me 1 second here.
Looking him in the eye. Friend George, who's a...
All right. All right, guys, can you see the video? Screen, at least? It's about to start.
Yes.
Do you love your wife? Yes. Right? Prove it. Like, what's the metric? Give me the number that helps me know, right? Because when you met her, you didn't love her, right? Now you love her, right? Tell me the day the love happened. It's an impossible question, right? But it's not that it doesn't exist. It's that it's much easier to prove over time, right? So all leadership is the same thing. It's about transitions. So if you were to go to the gym, right? It's like exercise, right? If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing, right? So clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit, right? Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action and you stick with it, like in a relationship, I bought her flowers and I wished her happy birthday, and she doesn't love me. Clearly I'll give up. That's not what happens. If you believe there's something there, you commit yourself to an act of service. You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. You can screw it up. You can eat chocolate cake one day. You can skip a day or two. It allows for that. But if you stick with it consistently, I'm not exactly sure what day, but I know you'll start getting into shape. I know it. And the same with the relationship. It's not about the events. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency, right? You go to the dentist twice a year, your teeth will fall out. You have to brush your teeth every day for 2 minutes. What does brushing your teeth twice a day for 2 minutes do? Nothing. Unless you do it every day, twice a day for 2 minutes, right? It's the consistency. Going to the gym for 9 hours does not get you into shape. Working out every day for 20 minutes gets you into shape. So the problem is we treat leadership with intensity. We have a 2-day offsite. We invite a bunch of speakers. We give everybody a certificate. You're a leader, right? Those things are like going to the dentist. They're very important. They're good for reminding us or getting us back on track, learning new lessons. But it's the daily practice of all the monotonous, little, boring things like brushing your teeth that matter the most. She didn't fall in love with you because you remembered her birthday and bought her flowers on Valentine's Day. She fell in love with you because when you woke up in the morning, you said good morning to her before you checked your phone. She fell in love with you because when you went to the fridge to get yourself a drink, you got her one without even asking. She fell in love with you because when you had an amazing day at work and she came home and she had a terrible day at work, you didn't say, yeah, but let me tell you about my day. You sat and listened to her awful day and you didn't say a thing about your amazing day. This is why she fell in love with you. I can't tell you exactly what day, and it was no particular thing you did. It was the accumulation of all of those little things that she woke up one day and as if she pressed a button, she goes, I love him, right?
So yeah, I think now that we've taken some time to look at all the opportunities, all those little things that we can be focusing on, and I'm guilty of this, and Kate will tell you, I'm guilty as much as anyone of being of having intensity over consistency, right? Like going too hard, working too hard, doing too much at one time, and just burning myself out, right? And it's something that I have to continue to work on. But if we can focus on all these little things and just trust that by doing all these little things during this crazy time right now, that long term it's going to have an impact. We've got to focus on what we control right now, even if they're little things, even if they don't seem like they're doing anything right now. We just have to keep focusing on those and controlling what we can and doing those little things and being consistent with them. So I thought that was all these things are just really interesting right now, given our current situation here and how it's all kind of how it all still applies. It definitely all still makes perfect sense here. I'm going to see PowerPoint. Okay, guys, we're going to keep moving forward here. All right, guys. One thing that I wanted to add to this, what we talked about in December, the 20-mile march, and it also related to consistency, right? Being consistent with small chunks rather than doing everything when you're feeling good and nothing when you don't feel like doing anything at all, right? Instead, just staying consistent, doing a little bit even when you feel great, and also still doing a little bit when you don't feel like doing anything at all, compared to just being too intense all the time. So we talked about that in December. And another powerful exercise that I wanted to just kind of go through right now here is thinking about 10 years from now. Listening to Jordan Peterson, he has just a really fantastic example and exercise of thinking about, okay, if I continue doing what I'm doing now consistently over the next 10 years, where will my life be, compared to if I don't, right? If I fall back into bad habits, or if I continue, if I have a bad habit that I know I should stop, but I don't, how is that going to impact my life 10 years from now in a negative way? Because as powerful it is to be chasing something great, it's also equally powerful to be running away from something that you don't want, to be chased from behind. So we need to have both of those things. So I think it's powerful to think about, okay, maybe finding a bad habit that we've got right now, something that we should stop or at least improve on. Okay. If I don't stop that in 10 years, what kind of impact is that going to have on my life if I continue to do that bad habit? And then on the other end of it, if I can get rid of it, what will my life look like 10 years from now if I'm not doing that bad habit anymore? So maybe take a minute here. Let's take a few minutes to think about, okay, what's something that maybe it's a distraction. Maybe it's something that's wasting a ton of my time, right? Maybe I'm spending too much time on social media. Maybe the first thing that I do is I get on my phone in the morning and I need to stop that. Think about all the time that some of these distractions are taking from you and what you could be doing, the impact, the widespread impact that those things have on your life, preventing you from doing certain things or, just the time. Like, what would you do with all of that extra time? There's some pretty crazy statistics out there where it's just 5 minutes a day on your phone adds up to some crazy numbers here. I'm going to look some of those up while you guys are working on this.
It's still wet. Gotta come in here tomorrow.
All right, guys. So yeah, 10 minutes a day for a year. Let's say it's just 10 minutes that you're wasting. In a year, that's 60 hours, 2 days, or it's 7 8-hour working days. That's wasted. 60 hours, 2 full days, or 7 8-hour working days gone, just 10 minutes a day in 1 year. So that's just how powerful small distractions can be. It's like, what could you do with a full week? Think about how much your time is worth. 7 8-hour working days. That's a lot of money right there that's left on the table. So it's a very interesting thing to think about. All right. Okay, guys. So really, those are the main different things that I wanted to go over with all of this. Everything else is kind of review. I'm going to post the next 90-day worksheet in our Facebook group, so that you can do the same exercise, the 90-day wonder, the calendar, getting your goals on there. I recommend that you guys start off with a journal or just scratch paper, open paper to make notes on, and then organize it on the worksheet so it looks pretty. And then, we recommended in December to put it on your refrigerator, or somewhere where you can see it every day. If we don't see it, the odds are we're just going to forget about it. And we want to actually achieve some of these goals that we've got, or at least be consistent and be headed in that direction, right? Keeping that trajectory going. So I will post that worksheet in the Facebook group. And I'll see if I can email that to everyone. I don't know if our email will let us attach a document like that though. So definitely post it in the Facebook group. All right, guys. So I would take some time, maybe this weekend. Lord knows we all have a lot of extra time right now, stuck at home. So definitely over the next couple of days, let's get these goals written out, get the next 90 days planned, and just kind of be realistic with what's going on right now, because the bottom line is we don't know when all of this is going to end. So continue to focus on all those things that we do have control over, especially over the next 90 days. And, we can always adjust these goals with, if our situation changes, depending on how it's impacting all the different areas of your life. But just keep that in mind as you're making these goals. Just be realistic for the current time right now with the resources we have and everything that's available to us. All right, guys. Any questions? Anything to add for you guys? Anything at all?
No.
It was great. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
This has been fantastic.
Good.
This is
Sorry,
better than
I'm
we
just-
thought this morning.
Figuring out my audio now on here.
Oh yeah, there you are.
Here I am.
That only took,
So-
nice job. That only took 40 minutes.
Yeah, no, I swear I was doing everything. I swear it. I guess the one thing I did kind of miss was when you had us when you were talking about finite goals,
Yeah.
before what we did is that then we did our 20-mile march goals to get to those. Is that what you were talking about, that we needed to go back and look at those again?
Well, the interesting thing right now with our situation is we may or may not be able to do the 20-mile march
Oh, okay, that's what you meant.
goals that we've set up back in
Okay.
December. So yeah, with those 7 or how many, with those different areas, the health, self-development, career, money, relationships, adventure, kind of making some goals for the next 90 days and kind of adjusting and kind of adapting them to our current time to help with that overall infinite mindset, keeping that in mind, but kind of adjusting them a little bit to make them more realistic for everything that's going on right now with our current situation.
Okay, so for the next 90 days, we should focus more on kind of thinking of what the current situation is.
Yeah, I think that's smart because otherwise,
and what we can accomplish, like in our Q2 projects, basically. So that's what I'm, when we do our 90-day vision, focus on just assuming that you're in the, this position right now. Okay.
Yeah, assume, plan. I think it's important to prepare for the worst. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Hopefully this doesn't last another 90 days, but it could. It very well could. So I'd rather be prepared for that scenario, and it'll be a good problem to have to make new goals in a month,
right,
if this is all changing. But if it doesn't, then we're gonna be prepared for the next 90 days, which I think which will help keep our mindset in the right spot. Because if we've got goals set up for a scenario where we have all the usual resources that we're used to having and the freedoms that we're used to having, it's just not, we don't have the same situation. We don't have the same opportunities right now. So I think if we I think we'd be setting ourselves up for failure if we were putting ourselves in that scenario when it's just not the case.
Yeah, so like one of my goals for for the 90-day wonder for, right now was to set up doing parades like for the gym.
Yeah.
In June. So I was in March supposed to be contacting people for parades in June, and I'm kind of like, I'm just not even gonna.
No.
I mean, I don't even think that's not even a thing, you know, so just kind of, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for us, it's all, as far as we're concerned, we're an online gym now, you know, until
Right.
further notice, unfortunately. So we just gotta just continue getting better at being able to provide and, you know, give fun, different, engaging things for everybody to keep us moving forward.
Yeah, it's got me thinking about other stuff, you know, in place of something like that. So
Yeah.
cool. All right. That helped. I just wasn't sure if I kind of missed that little chunk.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yep. How about you
Okay.
guys? Anything else?
It wasn't.
I don't think
Good?
so.
All right, guys.
So when's our next thing? Is it going to be, so when is that? May,
Like
June,
on here,
July?
it's Saturday, June 20th.
Oh, the 20th.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay.
Saturday, June 20th. Yep.
All right.
Okay, guys. Well,
Thanks.
thanks so much for joining in today. Definitely take some time this weekend to work on that 90-day wonder and just to take some time, you know, speaking of opportunities, you know, right now, so many of my gratitude things that I listed out, my first word was time for almost everything, how much more time I have to do certain things that I couldn't do before. You know, so take some time that we have now to, you know, just think about these things and to journal and to just think about yourself for a little bit. You know, I think it's something that all of us should do more often. So definitely take some time over the next couple days to do that.
Sure.
All right, guys. Well, I think we're good here. We will have our 21-day shred if anyone's joining in for that. John and Joy, I think you guys mentioned that, and then Siri as well, and your husband joining in.
Yes, yes. But he'll not be joining the call though. He'll listen to the recording.
Okay, perfect. Great.
My
So
kids have a class, so online class. So
Yes, at 1, right?
That's a 1.
1 o'clock. Yep.
okay. Yes.
All right, guys. John
Thank
and
you so
Joe,
much.
you guys are getting the. Now, Siri, did you work out this morning too?
No, I did not. I just
Okay.
woke up.
Well,
That's
John and
it.
Joe are getting the full BMT experience today.
Okay, go.
Yeah,
It's great.
Awesome, guys.
that's good.
Okay.
Beautiful. Well, have a great weekend, Siri and John and Joe. I will see you
Thank you.
guys in just a little bit.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thanks,
so much.
Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
That's
Bye,
good.
Terry.
Bye,
Bye,
Kate.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Kate.
Bye, Kate.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Siri.
Bye.